Travon Walker from his pro day March 16th. Didn't eat a salad at the steakhouse. Good call there. Eat the steak with the Jags. Let them pay for it. They may be paying for a lot more than the steak. They may be paying for the sizzle as well. Travon Walker is now the heavy favorite to be the number one overall pick in the draft. And it happened over the weekend that it flipped from Aiden Hutchinson, the Michigan pass rusher, to Walker, the defensive end from Georgia. And now it keeps getting stronger and stronger in Javon Walker's direction as the number one overall pick, to the chagrin of the NFL, which wants maximum mystery when the Jaguars are on the clock. And I guess they could still surprise us.
Yeah.
But look, the people who are setting these odds, and I know some of it is a reaction to the betting activity,
right,
but some of it's also a reflection of what they know and what they're hearing, and they've got to be hearing it's Walker, or the odds wouldn't be so heavily in favor of him being the guy.
Well, I don't know if I think this is one where it can be swayed a little bit more by the money than actual facts of the matter. You talk to people around the NFL right now, I think most of them would tell you the rumors of the things people think. Jacksonville's leaning towards offensive tackle at one right now. So I think if a D lineman does go off the board, it will be Travon Walker. I think that's where it's changed a little bit. So I will say that. But I think the most prominent thought of people I talk to around the league is that Jacksonville's going to go tackle at one right now. So that's where I don't like, hey, listen, I look at betting lines and look at the stuff and all that too. Like, you know, Kayvon Thibodeau still being talked about as a top 5 pick. It ain't going to happen. Can I bet that won't happen? Or can you short bets? Because I'll bet $100,000 he doesn't go in the top 5. I mean, I really would. You can.
You can. Yeah,
I might have to get in on that.
Over-under.
I might have to get on that. So
I don't think we're allowed to. We're not allowed to.
Oh, damn it. I'm not allowed to. Okay. All right. Yeah. So, all right.
Hopefully you haven't been, Calvin Ridley.
But this is what's awesome about this draft, in my opinion. I mean, we got Aiden Hutchinson, who's got production and is a hell of a football player, and you get to see it all. You got Travon Walker, who's just this unbelievable specimen that played in a defensive system, Mike, that didn't really play to his strengths. They play a way that it doesn't really show what he can do, right? So that's where the projection thing comes in. But, I mean, his size and his strength and his measurables are that of, and every bit of, like Myles Garrett when he was the number one pick in the draft. And you just go, well, I think if you lined him out wide and you just told him to rush the passer, it'd be a whole different type of film. But that's where it's really interesting. And then, of course, the Doug Peterson aspect of anybody you talk to in the NFL or knows anything in Jacksonville, he wants to replicate that Philadelphia Eagles offensive line of just, we're going to overpower you. It doesn't matter who you are. So that's where I think it is really cool, and I don't think it's set in stone that Travon Walker's the number one guy right now. I think people are having a hard time digesting that a tackle can go number one in the year 2022.
Over the weekend, there was a buzz that they were going to go offensive line. At one point, I was thinking it very well could be Evan Neal. There were people in the organization who were hinting at that. Part of the problem is they are disseminating misinformation, even though they have no reason to. There are people around the league who think that they are lying to people about what they plan to do, and they're all over the place. And they've said there are 4 guys that they're looking at, and presumably they are Travon Walker, Aiden Hutchinson, Ike Ekwonu, and Evan Neal. Those are the 4 guys. Now, when you saw the betting odds, Neal has fallen off considerably, and I can't help but wonder whether or not, we wrote about this earlier today, there's this vague rumor that there's a medical problem with Neal. Well, he wasn't asked to go back to the scouting combine medical recheck, which is an indication that there wasn't anything that needed to be looked at again. And Duke Manyweather, his offensive line coach, came out and said, look, he's fine. He showed up for every workout. He's got no medical issue. And I always wonder about people spreading that kind of vague, unverifiable stuff because they want the guy to slide.
Yeah, Carolina might want him at 6, so they might be going,
it is the ultimate Machiavelli meets Christmas, as Dwight Schrute would say. It's the ultimate, like, we really love this guy, we want this guy, and we want him so badly, we're going to spread all sorts of false crap about him so he slides down the board and we can get him. Mission accomplished. We did it. We managed to lie about this guy just enough. We whispered to just enough reporters who, in their quest to have content and clicks, pushed this stuff, even though it wasn't true, and it worked. Thank you. And people think, well, why would that work? Don't teams have their own assessment? That's where owners get skittish. They see that stuff. For these big, high-profile picks, they see that that's out there, and they're afraid. They get, and then you've got, you're trying to break the tie.
Yeah.
And Shad Khan, the owner of the Jaguars, said they're going to have a meeting on Wednesday to try to figure this out. If Shad Khan is seeing this stuff about Evan Neal, and that's enough to get him off of the Evan Neal train, that's then mission accomplished. He moves on to 2, and then maybe moves on to 3, and maybe moves on to 4, and so until whoever may be one of the ones spreading the rumor ends up getting to have the opportunity to draft him.
Yeah, agreed, Mike. That's definitely the game that gets played. We're watching Evan Neal here. I mean, Evan Neal, again, to me, he's my number 1 rated tackle. I think on most teams' board, Ike Ekwonu is the number 1 guy on the board, Mike. Philadelphia, I kind of always thought Doug Peterson would go with that type of guy because he had Jason Peters and Lane Johnson and Brandon Brooks. They were more size guys. And this, to me, is one of the best pass-protecting offensive tackles I've seen in quite some time. Now, the run game and all that stuff is not as clean as Ike Ekwonu, and that's where it's a little different. So, like, Mike, it's like Jacksonville, you got Cam Robinson. They did draft a tackle in the 2nd round last year. Evan Neal is really a tackle with, he can play guard, but that's not really what he is. He's a true tackle. The other guy, Ike Ekwonu, he's got some, he can be a big-time guard. He could be Zach Martin, too. He's kind of a little different guy altogether. So maybe that's why they're thinking him. I don't know. Does that make sense to you? Or you go, okay, we got a tackle. We got a guy we drafted last year. Now we get a guy that can be a tackle, but we can move him guard. Maybe that's why they go there. I don't know if that makes sense to you.
That
Mike.
would make sense.
Yeah.
That would make sense because if they take offensive line, it probably is going to be guard opposite from Brandon Scherf, who they added in free agency with the tackles that they have, and an offensive line that instantly becomes better as they try to get the most out of Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, and all the other weapons that they have. Right. Just need some time to do what they're trying to do.
And then if Cam Robinson's gone, you can move Ike Ekwonu to tackle next year, right? So there's a little flexibility there. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, man.
That's all right. Another thing Duke Manyweather did on his Twitter feed. Now, look, it's not like he's going to show the bad plays, but he's got plenty of clips of Evan Neal neutralizing Travon Walker in the national championship game. Right. Primarily to show that Evan Neal is healthy, but also to the extent that everyone is on Travon Walker as the number 1 overall pick. Right. The fact that Evan Neal can be seen turning number 44 from Georgia into a non-factor. It's not that he's throwing him around or pancaking him. He's just keeping him from doing anything. Yeah. Fending him off routinely. Yeah, no question. That's where I love Evan Neal. Evan Neal, you get to see real NFL pass protection against real NFL pass rushers all season long. Ike Ekwonu, yes, it's good, but there's some parts of the pass rush where you go, I'd like to see a little bit more. They're one of those teams in college football too, Mike, where it's a screen, it's a quick pass, to where you watch 40 passes in a game and you go, well, you only really had to pass protect like 4 plays that whole game. Everything else was just kind of block or step this way, and that was it. So that's where I went with Evan Neal. That's where it makes it very interesting. And then, Mike, what's crazy to me is, let's say Evan Neal or one of those guys goes 1. I mean, I feel like the Texans would be thinking offensive lineman, but oh wait, now we're here and Aiden Hutchinson or Travon Walker are on the board at 3 with the tackle we like too. That to me will be very interesting and it's certainly going to have a ripple effect, I think, on what can happen in the rest of the top 10. By the way, you mentioned Kayvon Thibodeau. Look, the Jets are favored via points bet to take him at 4. He's plus 150. He's got the shortest odds to become a Jet at number 4, but the over-under for the draft position is 4.5. So if you're inclined to agree with Chris that Kayvon Thibodeau is destined to slide, you can go make some money by betting would that be the over? It would be the over on 4.5 as the draft position for Kayvon Thibodeau. So we'll see how that plays out.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.